Jonathan. I'm a therapist. It's been a really bad week with Trump and a bad year with Brexit. It's very good for business. It has its drawbacks being a therapist. People expect too much of you. They expect you to have your life sorted. They expect you to have everything worked out. They expect you to have your shit together. Like my client the other day who said to me, "But I thought you, Jonathan, were the one who was meant to have your shit together." And her husband popped in to see me later in the afternoon and he said, "I thought you were the one who was meant to have your fucking shit together." And the very kind policeman later that evening who said, "Just take your stuff, Dr. Wyatt, go home and get your shit together. And no, you can't take the handcuffs with you. Not even for therapeutic purposes." But it has its benefits as well, being a therapist. I'm hopeless in the sack, but I can talk about it. I'm good at that. My wife says I'm hard on myself, which is really tactless. She says I'm better than I think I am. She says I'm not just good at talking about it, I'm really, really good. So anyway, my research is about what happens in the consulting room, and what I'm really interested in at the moment is what therapy can learn from stand-up, because I think there are a lot of connections between the two. So for example, you go to both to feel better, right? So there's some things going on in your life and you need to get them worked out. So you find somebody you can talk to and you see them for a few weeks, maybe a few months, even for longer, and at some point you expect to feel better. But it's the same in stand-up. So there's having a hard time at work, so you go out for the evening and you've got some things going on at home as well, and you just want to get out and do something different, and you have a few laughs and you chat to a few people, have a few drinks, and then you go home and you're feeling better, lighter. If it's been a really good night, the audience goes home feeling better as well. So then there's a second way in which stand-up and therapy are alike. There's the way in which in both stand-up and therapy people talk about really intimate things. So Reginald D. Hunter, the comedian, tells this story about travelling in a car with his dad, and he asks his dad whether he's ever had anal sex before. Okay, so he asks his dad whether his dad has ever had anal sex before. Not whether he, Reginald D. Hunter, has ever had anal sex before, because that would be weird, and you'd expect him to know that, and his dad not to. But anyway, so imagine having that conversation with your dad, and then you come and tell the stand-up audience about it. But it's the same in therapy. You find somebody you can trust, and you maybe say something to them, things to them, that you maybe never told anybody else in your life before. So both stand-up and therapy, people talk about the unsayable. But there are limits, I think, because, for example, I don't think I would ever tell my therapist that I wasn't any good in bed. I'm happy to tell you, but not my therapist. But the thing that's really got me interested in this stand-up therapy thing is how in both you've got to be really in the moment. So, like now, for example, I could forget my lines, I could drop the mic, could all go horribly wrong, I'd get really embarrassed, you'd feel a bit annoyed and a bit embarrassed for me. But possibly it could happen that I could just find the right words at the right time, say them in just the right way, and we'd all be taken over by laughter and transported somewhere else. It takes a little bit of imagination, but it's possible. It's the same in therapy, this need to just be really aware of what's going on in the moment. So, for example, I saw my client Rafa this afternoon. I've been seeing Rafa for a while, and I could tell by the way he walked in that it had been a really difficult week. slumped into his chair and he told me what happened. Here's the gist of the story, right? Which is that on Friday last week he was going out with his girlfriend and he went down to the cash point to get some money to go out, and the cash point wouldn't give him any money. Fuck off, Rafa. So he goes into the bank and he talks to them about it, and they explain that he hasn't got enough money in his account, they can't possibly give him any money. Fuck off, Rafa. So he got a bit of cash in his pocket, so he goes down to a bar nearby that he knows really well, and he sits there and he has a drink. And while he's there, a group of friends happen to come in, and they start talking to him, and they ask him what's been going on, and they get the story out of him, and he tells them. So they do what really good friends do, which is that they bought him more drinks. So he's down there for a long time, has a few more drinks, and there's a girl in this group he's liked for a long time, and they end up having a kiss. Eventually he goes home, and his girlfriend's waiting for him. He has not been answering his phone, she's been really worried, and she asks him what's happened, and he tells her about the cash point, and he's too drunk to realise that he shouldn't tell her about the kiss. So he does, and she's distraught. She stands up, they're in the kitchen, she stands up and she goes to the doorway and she's shouting at him, and she's just beside herself with anger and distress, and she reaches across to a vase on the side and she picks it up. He's just standing on the other side of the kitchen with his back to the side, and she picks up this vase, and it's a vase that's been in his family for a long time. It's not particularly valuable, but it means a lot. She just picks it up. His mum gave it to him just before she died a couple of years ago, so she picks it. I realise this isn't a very happy story, but it's a long time till I see my clinical supervisor, so it's really helpful for me to talk about it. And you're a lot cheaper. Anyway, so she picks up the vase, and he knows what's going to happen, and he turns his back, and the vase hits him on the back, and it just falls to the terracotta tiles and shatters. And he just looks down, and he hears her just leave the room, and a case drop onto the bed in their bedroom just down the corridor, and then he's kneeling on the floor when she comes back in, and he's gathering up the fragments. Very symbolic. She just throws the keys into the pile of shattered bits of vase, and then she's gone. Anyway, he hasn't heard from her since. So he's sitting in my consulting room, and he's telling me all about this. And I know that what he really wants, and what he feels he really needs, is this. He wants me to help him. He wants me to help him feel better. He wants me to take this off him in some way. This distressed and humiliated young man. And I know I can't. I know that's not what I can do as a therapist. All I can do is be a witness to his pain. I worry about I think about what I might say to him, and I think about how I might be able to make some reference to his mother leaving when he was a child, or me being away for a while, and all these kind of connections about loss just feel too trite. And I find myself, so here's the point, right? So I find myself thinking about what stand-up can teach me. Stand-up's attention to timing and detail and truth, bless you. And so I say, look, Rafa, so I realise then what I need to say. I say, Rafa, I wouldn't normally say this in therapy. It's not customary for me to give advice to people, but just look at me. It's time you got your shit together. Thank you very much. I've been Jonathan Wyatt.